Alright, what's going on YouTube? Only 4 series I have left to cast from the round of 64s to complete it. We're getting closer. It will be 32 series I casted basically in 1.5 weeks, which is, well, kind of exhausting, I would say. Round of 32 has already started, as you have seen. But I made it sure that any game that I cast in round of 32s, live or potential recording, already had the preceding round of 64 games casted. So the remaining games that we have from round of 64 are all for players that haven't played in round of 32 yet. So you will have the chance to go through those before round of 32 games start. Anyways, we actually have a pretty good matchup over here. It's Vodka versus not Cat Jam, even though I love the emote. It's actually Noisick, one of the best Italian players versus one of the best Chilean players out there, as we will be having Vodka with Hideout and Islands. Noisick and Gold Rush Slopes will be the home maps for them. The first civilization pick for each player was sniped, Mayans and Chinese respectively. Vodka will be playing with Aztecs, Italians, Ethiopians, Vietnamese, Portuguese, and Spanish. Other side, Noisick will be playing with Vikings, Malay, Saracens, Japanese, Incas, and Teutons. The global bands were Franks and Britons. Without further ado, let us jump into the first game over here. We welcome Noisick in teal on the left side of the map, playing as Vikings, and right side is going to be Vodka in yellow as Vietnamese. Both of them are part of the ROR clan, which is a pretty big clan now, I would say. There is about 8-ish people in it. Now, it was originally started by Italian players, I believe. I don't think it was Vodka starting. It was more like, I think maybe Kamigawa and Pete Martel was the original founders of our war. But now there is quite a lot of up-and-coming, like, top 50 players in there. And it looks like Vodka will actually open up with a lame over here. So I think that the higher seed is Vodka over here. And I also think that he's going to have the chance of... okay, that's actually a drop. Or a draw, or a restart. Okay, so I saw that there is a second recorded game on Arabia. I thought it's a drop, but no, it's a restart. So until the 4-minute mark, you can call a restart. And so far, I haven't seen players uploading restarted games, or technically you are obliged to do that. But Noisick, probably upon seeing that he got lamed, he's gonna call a restart. So that is going to be a very, very quick game over here. So the thing is, as I said, Orwa has quite a lot of talented young players on their roster, and one of them is Vodka, the other one is Noisick. Vodka has been a frequent performer in medium-sized tournaments, so he has played a lot in AoE Olympics. He has played, for example, he's playing in Euro Rumble. In fact, one of the candidates to perform very well in Euro Rumble, which is a €3,500 tournament hosted by a French streamer called OGN. For European players only who haven't reached 2400 rating by the sign-up deadline. So for example, I think Jordan isn't allowed to play in there because he reached that rating threshold already. So players like Vodka actually have a pretty decent chance over there. So he has been performing in small, medium-sized tournaments quite consistently throughout last year. There is nothing special about Vodka when it comes to like evaluating him as a player. He is a very, very standard, good all-around type of a player. Whereas on the other side, Noisick, kind of the same thing as well, but a little bit weaker, to be honest, in execution and macro overall, as that is a premium rush that is going to be denied. So Noisick was actually able to deny that barracks, or at least delay it a tiny bit. And we also have a militia coming in here from Noisick. So both players are actually going for some pre-mill rushes. And is that even a pre-mill rush? That was a weird build order over here. Because these militias are quite late compared to... I'm a little confused here. Obviously, as I said, due to time conservation reasons, I obviously have to go through Dark Age a little faster than I want to. Normally, I would just go through them normal speed. However, if I do that, I just don't finish with the games by the time the next round starts. And obviously, that will be the goal. Otherwise, you will just not see the games before you need them to. right? Anyways, so I feel like Vodka's mill might have been very, very late over here because the Brax was up for a long time, but that mill just was finished, so it was actually really weird over here, and Noisick's Drush is actually doing quite a lot of damage over here at the beginning. Behind this one, there's 2 more militias for Noisick camping back at home here. I wonder if they are just preparing to see if Vodka is moving militias forward. This is a very, very messy game to start with, to be honest, because these militias are just pretty much chilling over here. If you would group these up, this would be a pretty decent rush from Noisick. Now, Vodka's actually voted in his vultures, and it seems like we'll have a man-at-arms opening coming in here from Vodka 22 pop. Vietnamese are actually pretty decent at doing that, and are we not going to see the man-at-arms upgrade? I think we should. Like, the base of Noisick is open enough to justify the man-at-arms upgrade over here. I think Vodka might be a little too low on gold, though. Maybe because he had to wall in his vultures and he got delayed a little bit. Still, he's actually doing decent damage over here, and the man-at-arms will be able to run past the TC. The scout actually took quite a lot of damage, but the third militia will also be able to come in. And here's the man-at-arms upgrade, and it looks like Noisick himself will just go in with 4 of his militias to try and take this one. He actually went for 4 militia rush over here, and I assume this wanted to be a Drush FC because 27 Voyagers is way too late for a Drush into Archers build, but the map isn't necessarily suitable for a Drush FC. In fact, more precisely, the map is suitable for a Drush FC. You can actually wall this one off here, wall this one off here, wall off here, and wall off here. This is actually a good map for a Drush FC. It's a matter of Noisick didn't just wall himself, basically. Vodka had a lot of T-side idle time, though. That's something that is worth pointing out, that Vodka's eco is going to be miles behind the one from Noisick. Noisick already has, or well, will soon have Wheelbarrow in a matter of moments because he's Vikings, and Vodka is already behind by 2 Voyagers because of the TC out time. Now, if you're Noisick and if you don't want to grab a man-at-arms upgrade, you still wait until Feudal Age. And the reason why you wait is because Vikings don't get their extra health on their infantry in Dark Age, but they do in Feudal. So if you just want to make sure that you maximize the efficiency of those militias, what you do is wait until Feudal, and then you can get a little bit more HP, 10% extra helps a little bit. And if you take a look at this, at the end of the day, I think Noisick's Scouts play delaying the man-at-arms opening was actually pretty nice, and it looks like Vodka will be opening with an Archer and a Skirmisher, so we're going to have a mixture of units here. Same thing is going to be the case here for Noisick. What I dislike about his position quite heavily is that he's underestimating the importance of that gold mine, as the man-at-arms will now absolutely shred the militias here. It's important that 2 man-at-arms are still alive because they allow you to get through walls pretty easily. It's not like these walls were actually made though by Noisick, so I feel like he's underappreciating this push over here, and I don't know what he was thinking here. I honestly don't know. Like, his opponent is already out with the Archers and his gold mine is already under pressure. That is a disaster for Noisick over there. Oftentimes it is said that you want to place your archer ranges close to your gold mine exactly because of these reasons. Because you want to have your archers and skirmishers popping out right close to your gold mine so that you can protect it, because it's so crucial for an archer build. Overall, Noisick's base layout is pretty weird. I'm not going to lie, he's got some very bad wood lines. So this wood line was pretty far from the TC, not so great. This one also isn't great. There isn't really one good wood line for Noisick to play with, so that's something that I will have to give him to. But still, I feel like you could just make a pile side wall here, man, and protect your gold mine that way. Anyways, he's getting the farming eco up, and keep in mind that behind this one, Noisick seems to have a much better macro. The Voyager idle time is more considerable, so it's 10 minutes to 5 minutes, but the TC idle time for Vodka is absolutely disastrous. 142 is 4 Voyagers. And you see the 4 Voyagers difference between the 2 players, 35 to 31. That actually comes from that, and you also have to account for the fact that Noisick does have Horse Collar in here. Noisick does have Wheelbarrow already, so this is already an 8 Villagers lead that we're talking about. That is absolutely brutal for Vodka over here, and as I said, I think Vodka is the higher seed, and I would also consider him the likely candidate to win this series to something like 3-2. But currently, the start has been caught much better by Noisick over here, and it's almost exclusively skirmishers for Noisick though, and his army gets a little bit caught off guard. Man-at-arms doing quite a lot of damage over here. Did you see this teleporting man-at-arms? I think that was a teleporting man-at-arms. So the man-at-arms are actually pretty decent at soaking up arrow fire, and they do a lot of damage in melee. So if you stop to fire, they will actually get close and hit you, and they do a lot of damage, as I said. Anyways, fletching and +1 defense is in for Noisick over here. Vodka doesn't have +1 defense himself, so this is a winnable fight for Noisick here. In fact, he should have no trouble winning this one. Skirmisher numbers are relatively even. Actually, they're not. But what Noisick can do is indeed pull 2 vultures and push away the skirmishers. In the meanwhile, he's slowly voling up the north. For whatever reason, he's not really bothering voling up this right side though, which is just unthinkable for me. Anyways, behind this one, Vodka is now able to start getting his eco back on track, and his food count is actually looking pretty decent for Castlage here. That's something that we want to keep in mind. Whereas, like, he has actually more on farms, right? No, he's got 10 on farms, up against 11 on farms. I don't really know how is it possible that Vodka's resources are looking much better. Because the thing is that Noisick is pretty much making the same military as his opponent is doing. Keep in mind that these archers and skirms have more HP, so that actually helps a little bit for Vodka over there. But I'm just a little bit surprised that we are seeing Noisick having a that weak eco compared to his opponent. Partially it comes from the fact, I believe, that Vodka is only playing 1 range, whereas his opponent is 2 ranges. So 3 ranges, I have no other questions. Triple range archers over here from Noisick, that is a massive overreaction. It's going to get punished. The thing is that with Viking's eco, if you didn't go for triple range archers here, even double range archers would have been perfectly fine, or archer skirm on double ranges. You would have been having the same castlage time as your opponent, and you have a pretty clean 7-8 vultures lead already. Now with triple ranges, you delay your castlage, and you risk your opponent getting crossbowmen, a forward siege workshop, and a push in your face. So castlage, as you see, already coming in here for Vodka, whereas for Noisick, now he's idling his town center as well. Vodka once again idled a lot of, he just gathered an awful lot of TC idle time. 222 at this stage of the game is absolutely horrendous. Anyways, you can justify the last 15-20 seconds because he was waiting until he can click up to the next stage. He's double ranges now as well. And it looks like there's also a couple of archers trying to harass these woodlands over here. Nice move from Vodka, distracting his opponent over here a little bit. And Noisick will be clicking up to Castlage right now. Collects about a minute idle time on his TC as well. But still, the main difference maker is going to be that there's a minute difference in between the 2 players in castlage times. That being said, it's 11 skirms and 10 archers versus 10 skirm, 9 archers, so you see that the triple range just wasn't worth it for Noisick because probably he wasn't really producing consistently from those. You see, one of these are always idle, so he's got 1 archer range that he isn't really using to anything right now, whereas his opponent is just maximizing the efficiency of those 2 ranges. It's very heavy towards skirms, and one of the common things in these 2 civilizations is that both of them have pretty bad cavalry. Although it's not impossible, we're going to see a couple of elephants from the Vietnamese players. Oftentimes when the fights are this skirmisher heavy, elephants could actually happen as well. Viking Knights could be the idea as well from Noisick, but it seems like he's not going to go for that. In this case, we're probably going to see elite skirms from both players. Castlage is in for Noisick, or for Vodka, which means that Noisick either takes this fight right now or he's going to have to withdraw. And Crossbow comes in alongside elite skirm. Also worth noting that the HP, as I said, for these units will be better than the ones from the Viking player, but the Viking player is going to have the better eco. So eventually Noisick is going to have to win with numbers over here, whereas Vodka is trying to win with quality. And now Botkin is in, so this is a moment where Noisick is going to have to withdraw over here pretty easily. I like the fact that Noisick is using a skirmisher to scout the map, because I think both players lost their scouts pretty early on with the men-at-arms and the openings and the rushes. So I think both players have pretty limited information. So if you take a look at the Vodka, he kind of knows how the base of Noisick looks like, but very few information other than that. I love this move though. He's taking 3 crossbows and hitting this woodland over here, while his main army is probably busy chasing this army over here. You can see that he's splitting this army to multiple groups, trying to chase it down. Military numbers are still pretty close. Elite skirm is on the way as the fast ballistics will kick in a matter of moments for Noisick. Noisick is also having a lot of crossbows back at home. And one of the things that he's going to have a little bit of a trouble with is wood control, but he, I think, wants a TC over there. Indeed, here comes the town center, and this counterattack could actually be pretty devastating. Even though the majority of these units are skirmishers, there is still a couple of crossbows, so getting through the walls should be possible, but it seems like Noisick or Vodka is able to track that army. Or not. For a moment, it seemed like he's able to track that army and he's just going to destroy it. And truth being told, this army would absolutely destroy this one, as +2 defense is coming in for both players. TC is up, and we already have a defensive secret up as well for Noisick. So the thing is that he only has to play defensive here because he knows that he's going to have the stronger economy. So he's not even getting ballistics right now, although he might actually do that once he has the wood for it. But it seems like he's going to be playing on 2 TCs, and whereas Vodka is only playing on 1. And remember that he's already behind by 8 villagers plus handcart. So it's about an 11 villagers differential. Now Vodka could actually take this fight though. Ballistics isn't already for Vodka, no ballistics for Noisick, as it is coming in just now. So it's a little bit easier micro for Vodka over here, especially having extra HP on those skirmishers as well. The 20% extra health really helps a lot over here, and you see that this is a pretty significant cleanup. Now the thing is that in late game, Vikings won't be able to sustain this archer war against the... I forgot the civ's name. You see that I'm getting a little bit exhausted casting Vietnamese, that's what I wanted to say. Because Vietnamese do have the Imperial Skirms, Vietnamese do have Arbalasts that are actually better in quality. And honestly, if I look at Vodka's eco, is it possible that he's trying to go for an early imp here? You could consider that against Vikings. Because the thing is that Vikings, one of the ways that Vikings can beat you, and that's basically one of the most common ways Vikings can beat you, is by beating you to Imperial and using the Arbalest and Siege Ram to push you over here. So really the fact that Vodka is idling his TCs over here makes me feel like he wants to imp this one. That would be an ambitious move, but considering that he probably knows that he's behind an eco, I understand the concept. It's a risky call, but I think he is planning to Imperial Age this one and then go for Arbalest, because Arbalest would absolutely melt everything that Noisick has right now, especially if he mixes in a couple of elite skirms himself. The thing is that Vodka can just play elite skirms though, because eventually berserks will come out and they will just eat them. Noisick coming in with the push, and as you see, Vodka is idling his TCs all the time. He's at 600 food right now. The brutal thing about Vikings is that, as you see, Noisick is already piling up the resources for Imp, and this is why I said that against Vikings I can justify you trying to get to an early Imperial Age, because you have to. If you don't get to an early Imperial, your opponent is going to beat you to Imp, and you're just going to fall behind in the unit quality. So, on the other hand, if you consider the fact that if you go for an early Imp, you will sacrifice a lot of eco in Castle Age, and you will probably have the weaker eco compared to Vikings in Imperial. Also means that Vikings will have the advantage over here. Obviously, at 542 T-Saddle time against 137 is a massive, massive advantage for Noisick in this one. Mangonel shot actually does connect. That was a nice one, firing up hills. That was also a beautiful mango shot from Vodka. So he's holding this one, but look at this. He's still not close to reaching Imperial clicking up, even though he's idling his TCs like a madman trying to get up. But there is the Vikings eco for you. 2 TCs, 32 minutes clicking up into Imperial over here. It was an extended feud age, obviously, so that timing is still not like absolutely amazing imp timing, but for this specific game, you see why Vikings are just so dominant. You see why Vikings are often a frequent pick on maps like Arabia, for example, because their economy is absolutely top tier. Like, Vikings is the typical archer civilization that doesn't have any archer-related bonuses, but the eco of Vikings is so strong that it compensates for the fact that it doesn't have actual bonuses for their archers. And here comes a Mangonel, that's 1 for 1. It seems like Vodka even deleted that Mangonel over there. And for now, he seems like he's gonna try to hold this hill. Vodka is floating a lot of resources, which makes me feel like he still wants to go into Imperial, but this is kind of going nowhere right now. And Noisick, having a firm control over this game, now he will start making more crossbows. I think he has to go for Arbs now, although he's making a mixture of these. I think it has to be Arbs, and he has to be ready to transition to Berserks. But Arbalest Berserk should be something that Or maybe even Skirmisher Berserk would be very, very nice for Noisick. But I think eventually he's going to have to start adding Berserks. And indeed, Vodka was trying to get into an early Imperial, but still getting beaten by 2.5 minutes into Imp. And it looks like we're going to have quite a lot of Mangonels here. Makes me wonder if we are going to see an Onager upgrade from Noisick over here. As now, Mangonel versus Mangonel over here. I think Noisick will try to hold this one until he's able to get into Imperial and get Bracer. And he's even floating a lot of wood here, so that is also something that is worth considering. Arblast first. Here I could have made a case for Bracer first, to be honest, because yeah, you're gonna have Arblast, but you also have a lot of Skirmishers, so Bracer is worth more over here, as now Vodka goes all in, dive in here, but he's getting absolutely torn apart, and he knows that. GG is called, and Noisick takes game number 1 over here after Vodka lamed him, and I honestly don't know who is the higher seed in here, but I would imagine, based on what I've seen in medium-sized tournaments, is that Vodka is the higher seeded player. Yet the fact that he went for the lame in the first game could actually mean that he is the underdog. I really don't know which of these players are the higher seeded, but here in this one, Noisick proved to be better, and Vietnamese will be gone for Vodka, and Vikings will be gone for Noisick, and that means that we're going for Vodka's first home map, which is either Hideout or Islands. So remember that Noisick has used up his restart, so that is something that is unavailable for him anymore. And this is the game that we're going into. So we will have an interesting civilization matchup over here. Something that's not very, very common on Hideout. We will have Vodka playing as Spanish in yellow, and Noisick will be playing a very, very underrated civilization, I think, which is Malay. On closed maps like this, Malay is absolutely a top tier civilization. It's definitely an S tier arena civ, but probably at worst an A+ tier hideout civilization as well. It has a rather slow moving army, but it has a very, very nice usage of power spikes. It does have a pretty strong eco because you spend less time going into the next stage. So you will basically have more Voyagers over your opponent. And in the meanwhile, Noisick, as I said, will be playing Malay on the north. Down south, it is going to be Vodka in yellow. And it seems like Vodka is also calling a restart. Why did he do that? I think this stone. This stone is actually way too bad for Vodka. He called at 342. Previous game, Noisick called a restart. And this is, I think, the first time I'm seeing restarts in the qualifiers. I'm not sure if players are just not calling them, or they're just not uploading the recorded games where they called restarts. Anyways, when you're playing Spanish over here, it is either Tower Rush or Conquistadors, I believe. Both of those require stone, and this stone is very, very close to the wall, so it is completely understandable. I'm not sure if I can show you Vodka's POV. I can show you Vodka's POV. This is what he sees. So whatever the cause of the restart, he sees it on the screen. There is no Voyagers lost. So really the only reason why I can see this restart being justified is because of that stone mine being bad. So both players have used up their restarts in pretty early stages of this series. And now we will try once again to take a look at the Dark Age of Hideout. A new generation is what we have over here with a slightly better stone spawn for Vodka. Not really amazing still, but this is a better stone spawn for Vodka than it used to be before. Although it doesn't really matter because whatever happens now they're going to play this. Each player had a maximum of 1 restart. So the players will no longer be able to call a restart if they don't like their map. So most players just use a sheep to keep the gate open and push the deer in here, but in the meanwhile, Vodka seems like he is one of those players that just deletes part of his walls and then he will actually build it back with a house. It is worth pointing out that he goes for some early deer over here, like very, very early deer here. Whereas on the other side, you see that Noisick is just about to start pushing the deer, and I think previous game he was pushing it through the gate. Here he is pushing it through a hole over there, and he's blocking that hole with the pig. This is actually very smart. He's blocking the hole with the pig to make sure that this Ibex that is already within his walls is not actually going to leave. And now he's going to push in the final one. And the gate trick actually has one positive effect, and that is that if you close the gate, the Ibex can't go out. And with walls, that's not really the case. So what you can do is just delete one tile and then use your Spiggy to block it off. And it seems like what we're going to have here for Noisick is a fuel edge boom type of a strategy. So this is actually scary for Vodka, because Vodka doesn't know if there's a tower rush coming or man-at-arms archers coming. Vodka is going to play standard conquistadors, but the thing is that with the faster age-ups of Melee, you can really justify this sort of arena-style play here of going up the field age, getting the eco upgrades, and you see that at the end of the day, when Noisick clicks up, since he reaches the next stage faster, I think he's gonna be able to catch up to Vodka over here. He's gonna be like 20-30 seconds behind, but he's gonna have a pretty decent... Actually, he's a 1 minute behind, but still, he's gonna have archers on the way, and more importantly, he has had those eco upgrades for a long time. So all the farms that he has made are with horse color, which are helpful. He has had the double bit axe for a long time as well, so he will be able to afford at least one more additional town center and maybe university. And now we're going to see archers and skirms, more importantly, coming in here for Noisick. So he knows conquistadors are coming. I wonder if he scouted the castle or he just anticipates the conquistadors. I don't think that he scouted the castle yet, although you don't have to be a brain surgeon to... he sees the mining camp on the stone, so he knows it's conquistadors. So even without seeing the castle, you would probably be able to predict its conquistadors, but the mining camp on the stone is a pretty straightforward way of telling that as well. Interesting siege workshop location here for Vodka. Not sure what his plans are with that, because if he wants to be aggressive, you wait until you have 3 conquistadors, push forward and drop a siege workshop over there. Now, Noisick is going to be defending over here with monks and a couple of skirmishers. Goes for TC number 2. I don't like the fact that there is no TC on this gold mine, which could be very problematic if the conquistadors break into Noisick's base. Goes for loom as well, just to make sure that he's not losing his voyagers to the early conquistadors. Vodka is still playing without loom, one of the reasons why he probably didn't move out to make a siege workshop. But honestly, this siege workshop might be here because he was expecting a crossbow counterattack. But there is nothing coming his way, so at this point, Noisick is just playing very defensive, and does have both of his TCs idle, because he only has 6 on food. So he's gonna have to allocate a lot more voyagers on food, and that is definitely far from ideal, that he's having these TC idle time. And also is considerable that Vodka is very close to losing that scout. He's trying to bait Noisick's scout into his castle fire. Let's see if Noisick disengages, and yes, he will. And in the meanwhile, we have one spearman coming out for Noisick. I wonder if this is just here to scout. Like, you chill here with the spearman, and when you lose it, you know that your opponent is coming. That could be something. It's not like Noisick is investing heavily into the defense, though. He made a couple of skirms, but he's waiting out with the upgrades. He wants to make sure that his opponent is actually coming with conquistadors before committing to the upgrades on the defensive units, which kind of makes sense for me, I would say. Or there's 7 voyagers lead for Noisick, thanks to Melee. And remember that if you let Melee boom, they're a sneaky civilization to surprise you with an early Imperial Age Arbalest play, because they can easily mess archers in Castle Age, and they don't need an amazing food eco to pile up the food for Imperial, because you're only spending your food on Voyagers. And because they reach Imperial so fast, it's like a 130, 140 uptime compared to something like 350. It is absolutely crazy, and the Arbalest power spikes are very good for Melee over here. That being said, now there is a Mangonel and there is Conquistadors coming in, and Noisick still doesn't have his upgrades for his units over here, which is getting concerning, because now it's going Sanctity, but that's going to be quite a lot of Conquistadors. Conks will have no Bloodlines, as Noisick was spotted right now. I would think that he immediately is going to go for Fletching, but even then, he's a little low on gold, and that means that he isn't able to get Elite Skirm. Now, the Monk here could actually get sniped down. That's actually very bad for Noisick. He needed that Monk so much. Nice Revos over here behind, but now Conquistadors Mangonel's trying to get through the gate over here, and there's another Siege Workshop for Vodka, which answers my question. He was expecting an Archer push in early castle, that's why he went for a defensive Siege Workshop, and now the Conquistadors are in, and that Monk dropped that Relic. There is more important things to do right now, man. for example, converting these Conquistadors, and after the new projectile behavior, Conquistadors became a lot stronger than they were. Just drop that relic and start converting, man. What are you doing? Second monastery on the way, and it seems like at the end of the day, Noisick underinvested into the defensive units and upgrades here. He still has a good eco lead, so if he gets a lead skirm here and gets a couple of monks out, he should have his shot at defending, and he's on 3 TC, so technically he can afford to lose 1 or 2 villagers because he will still be able to reboom compared to the opponent. Tries to use the converted Conquistador to try and snipe the Trebuchet. As the elite skirms are almost in, the monks are coming on the other monastery as the Mangonel is out. There is no siege workshop though from Noisick, and that is actually very concerning because without a siege workshop you will not really be able to take down those Mangonels unless you go for redemption monks, which is definitely possible. Malay, one of the reasons why Malay is a very good arena save is because their monks are actually pretty well upgraded. So I think they definitely have redemption. Not sure about block printing and potentially atonement, but I think redemption is what you're actually looking for in this game right now for Noisick. Still, one of the monasteries will go down over here, and this push is actually getting stronger and stronger, and there is still no way for Noisick to actually kill those Mangonels. In fact, he's just losing his skirms here very, very easily. That actually do not have Vodka arrows, so they only have 6 range, making it very, very easy for the Mangonels with 7, or even the Conquistadors with 6 to take them down. So, archer range, massing skirms here, waiting for the time to come to pop them. I think that's going to be after redemption kicks in, and you will try getting 2 conversions on the Mangonels, and then you unpop the skirms on this side and try to cut off the escape path for the Conquistadors. It's still a 17 villagers lead for Noisick over here, so technically, as scary as this looks like, if this push stalls out from Vodka, then that could be game over. But do you know why this is not going to stall out? Look at that stone count. Vodka is going full aggro over here. So the first game was rather passive from both sides. This is much, much, much more aggressive over here. And now if that castle goes up, Noisick is in trouble, like in actual big trouble. And I don't necessarily see Vodka being able to, or Noisick being able to stop that one. Here comes the conversions. If you use the Monk's power on the Conquistadors, you will not be able to convert the Mangonels though, and nice micro from Vodka, moving out of the range of those monks. All the monks are dead, which means that the Mangonels will have an easy time cleaning up those skirms. And you can see that Noisick is trying to get some more skirms on the field, but he's hitting a big bottleneck in terms of production. He just doesn't have production, single range only, and it seemed like he underestimated the strengths of a Conquistador push over here, and he wanted to wait with the upgrades until he actually sees if there's Conquistadors coming for him, but it seemed like he waited too long, and by the time he realized, oh shoot, I'm getting pushed, he didn't really have the option to go for the upgrades for his skirmishers early on. Also, Mangonel himself, I think, could have been very, very helpful, even though this is actually tricky to defend against. Still, this is just overall tough situation. Spanish are actually a strong save on this map exactly because of this one. Noisick tries to get his own castle up, but technically he still has a 15 villagers lead, but I feel like his situation is getting worse and worse every moment. So the TC here is about to go down. Mangonel shot misses target for now. Another Mangonel shot is going to miss, but this TC is going down over here, and if it goes down, Woodline villagers could be troublesome, and in fact that's going to be the main concern that Noisick will be facing. How is he going to access wood for himself? Because this TC is going to be the next one that's going to get pushed, and that means that he would be without a reliable source of wood, and Vodka wants another castle for himself. Vodka wants another castle, and that castle might be like somewhere over here or something like that. I don't know where exactly he's placing that castle. Other alternative would be to drop the castle on the right side over here, like walk with a couple of villagers to the outside and try to cut off the escape path for your opponent. Mangonels are still over here, and it's 10 military against 18. The eco is still better for Noisick, but Vodka is doing what he has to with the civilization. Also, it seems like he might be deleting farms from his opponent, so that he's preventing his opponent from rebooming. I'm not sure if he did that, but yeah, indeed, he was deleting farms, and now the castle is gonna be dropped over here. Mangonel trying to be converted. Conquistadors do dive in and snipe the monks once again. The KD is heavily in the favor of Vodka. There is just no conversions from Noisick because the micro was nice from Vodka up until now. the mangonel gets converted, and there's also Conch getting converted, but this is far from enough to stop this, as Monk is trying to get another mangonel conversion, fails to do so, and I think that Vodka is going to pull a couple more Voyagers to get this castle up if it fails. If it actually fails, and that's a quick mangonel conversion, but immediately dies to the Conquistadors. Still a 17 Voyagers lead for Noisick, but he's pretty much living nomadic lifestyle right now, as Vodka is still on stone with 5. Do you know what that means? It means that he's going to try another castle once again. He's just castle rushing the entire map over here. Crazy, crazy. The funny thing is, as I said, is that Noisick technically still has the eco lead, but in reality, the villager idle time is just absolutely crazy. 1 hour, 2 minutes against 18 minutes idle time, and soon there is going to be nowhere to go, because Noisick is losing town centers faster than he can replace them. In fact, what he is trying to do is go for his own defensive castle. Now, truth being told, if he's able to get his defensive castle up, it's going to be very hard for Vodka to continue pushing, who is now aiming for this one. In fact, there's already a defensive castle coming in here for Noisick. If this fails, Noisick is in trouble, but I think he's going to be able to get it up. Is he? Is he? He might not be able to get that castle up, which would be a disaster. He's piling up stone for another castle already, which should be some round over here, I believe. But yeah, Noisick has to get that castle up. If that castle doesn't go up, I think it's game over though. Because what's going to happen is that Vodka is going to drop another castle over here on that TC. That once again pushes Noisick off from that town center. And I don't think that this castle is going up, although he's got 7 Voyagers. He could try unpopping them so that he can actually get that castle up. But here comes another castle from Vodka, right? Yeah, he's waiting to buy the stone. And he's going for full aggro. This is full-on, all-in Castle Age sort of a play from Vodka, who's running out of stone at his own base, so he's gonna have to venture forward somewhere else. Now, we're gonna have Noisick getting a couple more ranges out, potentially for skirmishers. Noisick trying to get that castle up, as Vodka is waiting for the stone to pile up, but he doesn't have the stone quite yet. Still, this castle is at 97%, and there is no more Voyagers here for Noisick. Here he needs to wait until he has like 4 and then unpop them. You don't just send in 1 Voyager because it gets killed so easily. You wait until you have like 3 or 4. But in the meanwhile, as I said, Vodka is dropping another castle. I think this castle is going to decide the outcome of the game, because I don't think that Noisick can actually survive losing this part of his base as well. And Noisick is really trying to get it up 98%. He needs that other will as well. Pop out the 2 wills. And look at that. I think at this point, Vodka could do ground attack to this side with the mangonel to make sure the Voyager isn't getting that up. Vodka, Noisick is coming in with everything he's got. He's coming in with everything he's got, trying to stonewall off the right side. But now, if you take a look at Vodka, who has been behind in eco the entire game, and I think this castle is going up for... It's coming up for Vodka, I think that's the game over for Noisick. He's got nowhere to go. He was 3 DCs, and he's gonna cancel 97.8% castle. I think that's sort of an end game story over here, because he just lost basically all the stone invested into that castle. Now he's got Conquistadors inside his eco, and he's gonna get a castle up over here. But does that mean anything now for him? I mean, he's just absolutely losing TC after TC. And the thing is that even if this castle goes up, I think Vodka could attack from this angle. Vodka could try sneaking through here, and the Conquistadors would just run past the castle here. And the problem that Noisick is facing right now is that his eco is by far not operational. That being said, if he somehow holds on to this one in this corner, he may still have a chance with Arbalest Bombard Cannon. It's going to be awfully tough, because I feel like Vodka's just going to keep on with the pressure. In fact, there's already a Siege Workshop, so you'll probably try to ram your way through this one, supported by Conquistadors. And then, do you know what's going to happen? There's going to be a castle some round over here, or here. Noisick's eco is an absolute mess right now, and Vodka, who has been on 1 TC for the whole game, has actually caught up in terms of Voyager numbers. And let's see if those Conquistadors will eventually just run all the way through and try to hit that wood line. It's 8 elite skirms only, with just +1 defense. And there is the battering ram. And as I said, one of the things that you have to consider is that there is very, very little wood accessible for Noisick, because one thing that's kind of special on Hideout is that most of the wood is in the middle. So if you lose that, you're just gonna be gone. Both players are doing some heavy market usage over here for Imperial Age, but it seems like they will click up about at the same time, which means that Noisick is gonna have the upper hand going into Imperial because of Malay going up faster. However, what is he going to do with that? I don't know, because he only has 1 castle and he's up against 3 castles. So you see that there is going to be like a minute difference in terms of Imperial Ages. It's 3 minutes versus 2 minutes of uptime. And as I said, the problem that Noisick is facing is that that means that he's gonna have like 1 or 2 trebs out, but his opponent can start making trebs on 3 castles. And that might be even more very soon, because Vodka apparently is just spamming castles everywhere. I would love to see a castle around here, if you're Vodka, to kind of limit the movement of your opponent and just corner him in here, like in literal terms. Just make sure that your opponent isn't able to break out of this corner. Voyager count is still that even for the 2 players. Anyways, as I said, Vodka is actually getting closer to another castle over here, as Noisick is about to reach Imperial. He's got 1 relic over here in that monastery. Meanwhile, for Vodka, he's got a couple of conquistadors around that aren't really doing anything. But really, the problem that Noisick will be facing is going to be wood access. That being said, this actually is a nice breakout over here, and as I said, I wonder if we're going to see a castle some round over here from Vodka to prevent such a breakout. Here comes an immediate trap, but as I said, by the time those traps arrive, your opponent is going to be an imp as well, and even though you will have the initial trap number advantage, your opponent has 3 castles, so your chances of actually destroying all of those is like next to impossible. And even if you do it, like, Vodka is taking stone from the stone mine of Noisick here, so there's going to be a lot of resources kind of stolen from Noisick's base anyways. Here's the castle as I proposed it. And the traps are out, Bracer on the way with block printing. And immediately it's going to be 2 traps and conscription coming in here for Vodka. What I don't like is that I think conscription should have been done on this castle, and this should be a trap. This should be a trap here, so you have 3. And you should have made conscription on this castle instead of this one on the front. Anyways, as you see, the trap numbers will soon equalize, because that is what multiple castles gives you, as it seems like Noisick does want to go for Arbalest over here, so Arbalest Bombard Can is the name of the game. But Spanish can actually react to that one quite nicely with their elite skirms, as Vodka is now setting up his own trap. Second trap is out just now, 3rd and 4th on the way for Vodka, who is running out of stone here, so repairing that castle is going to be a little challenging. But in the meanwhile, if you take a look at the wood income for Noisick, Noisick is actually running out of wood here. So soon he's going to have no wood to work with, and he only has 113 in the bank. Mangonel will try to get a shot on top of those traps, and I think it might actually be able to connect. It actually lands a shot, one of the traps goes down, but the conversion does occur, and that means that Noisick is able to grab that Mangonel for himself, and the Mangonel even survives because of the castle fire missing, I think, the final volley. 2 traps targeting the castle versus 5 traps, but the 5 traps are actually targeting the traps over here, as Vodka is trying to repair this one as much as possible. He has to take down at least 1 trap over here to have a chance at winning this trap war and actually saving this castle. And I think that he's not saving that castle. Noisick is holding this one for now. Skirmisher is now moving out. Still, there is 2 more castles here for Vodka, but that's a small win for Noisick over there. And it seems like we're also going to lose 1 trap over here for Vodka. Yep, that is going down. So what now for Vodka? He's at 61 Voyagers against 54. I think he could actually start thinking about mixing in some light cav over here, or potentially knights, because his opponent is almost exclusively skirmishers. Mangonel will be taken down, and we will also have the traps. I think they should be able to finish off the trap over here. A castle comes in from Noisick. He's trying to crawl back into his own base, but one of the traps went down. And the thing is that these traps can actually range this castle. As Noisick, yeah, is calling the GG. He knows that upon losing those traps, he will not really be able to take that castle down, and that would also mean that he's unable to get over here. Also, I think he just noticed that a couple of conquistadors have actually killed a lot of Voyagers over here. At the end of the day, Vodka kills 27 Voyagers from Noisick. Noisick only killed a single villager. That is, like, as dominant it was from Noisick in the first game, like the second half of the first game, Vodka has been dominating this game, and he's been playing very, very well with this Conquistador plus Mangonel play. So really, what he had to do, he did it. Anyways, that means that Malay is gone for Noisick and Spanish is gone for Vodka over here, and we are going to the first home map of Noisick, which is Gold Rush or Slopes. So let's jump into the next game, which seems like it is going to be Slopes. So the first home map of Noisick over here, and we have a very interesting Civ matchup over here. You have seen many times that players were experimenting with some less conventional civilizations for this map. It is still a scouts map, I believe, but we are seeing more and more archers over here, and we have a Saracens versus Ethiopians matchup over here. Vodka is playing Ethiopians in yellow on the right side, left side is going to be Saracens for Noisick in red. I actually like the idea of the Saracens on this map, because the market first of all helps you wall your base a lot, but also with the use of the market you can actually get a nice little power spike, and this is definitely a map where a single power spike can propel you to victory. So if you can beat your opponent to Castle Age by a minute or so, and you can get crossbows faster than he does, then that may be enough to win you the game. So I actually like the Saracens pick over here. It's one of the better choices. Some archers I don't necessarily agree with for this map, but the Saracens is definitely something, especially against Ethiopians, I can justify. Anyways, we will see as we have a Premier Drush coming in here from a Noisick. Is it a Premier? Yeah, it's a Premier Drush, and considering that he's walling himself pretty heavily, I'm tempted to say that he's not moving out for the pawns, as on the other side we also have a Premier Drush coming from Vodka, who's also going to just play the berries, so they will just play this one just like Arabia, sort of. So militias will be coming in from both the players, and now Noisick is moving out. Now, this is interesting. Maybe he was delaying this intentionally, because the thing is that Vodka is probably scouting those areas already. In fact, if you take a look at Vodka's scouting, he has seen the pond over there. But he didn't see any units, and that might be the reason why Noisick is moving out this late. Because he knows that his opponent will be looking for the pawns. In fact, it's a double drush, so he probably knows that the drush is actually aimed at sort of potentially killing villagers on the pawns. By the way, these two players are teammates, so they probably have a very similar mindset. So both of them actually tried drushing, and probably the idea was that you just drush the fishing villagers of the opponent. However, probably because of this reason, Noisick decided that, hey, I'm just going to, you know, send my villagers out later, let my opponent scout the pawns first, see that there is nothing left, and that is a win for Vodka, a little bit of a win over there for him. Really, that drush just cancelled each other out, which actually I think is sort of a win for Noisick in terms of economy, because he's gonna have a lot of food here, and that was the plan. Instead of moving out early and potentially exposing these villagers to drush, you're kind of concealing your movement. Your opponent sees that you're not out there and thinks, okay, he's going for the berries just like I am, but then you send out 6 villagers, so you actually catch up in terms of food. It's interesting that the mill is being placed over here and not over here, where it would access both shortfishes much easier. But still, I think the ideal scenario here for Noisick would have been if he's actually successful killing that scout, because, yeah, Vodka might actually suspect something, and now he sees this mill. So the sneaky play here was really something that isn't really going to work out anymore for Noisick, although by the time there is anything coming from Vodka, these villagers will be done fishing and hunting over here. Now, it's 24 and 23 villagers, drush archers, but Noisick idled his TC a lot. So this is actually more like a 25, in fact this is a 26 villagers drush FC timing, whereas Vodka's one is 24, if you actually account for the idle time, which is the legitimate drush archers timing, whereas for Noisick, this is more like a drush FC timing, dare I say. Obviously, with Saracens, you never know. That's the thing. That looking at these resources, it is actually possible that we're going to see, I think in one of the qualifiers, we have seen something like that, like a 24 pop Saracen Drush FC into crossbows. And you use that, or you do that by selling a lot of stone and buying the remaining food. And the fact that you're sending 5 on gold also makes me believe that this could actually be an attempted very fast Drush FC from Noisick. And I really like the idea, to be honest. This could potentially work out as well if your opponent was a scout civ, because you could just wall yourself up. There is the range, interestingly, on this position and not at the home base of Noisick. And if he actually wants to FC this one, he's gonna need a market. He's a little low on a wood though, and it's a blacksmith. In this case, he's gonna start making archers, but I would assume that the original plan was a Drush FC with such a timing. Maybe he decided that, hey, my opponent knows where I am, so I'm just gonna have to make a couple of skirms over here and make the blacksmith over here. But still, I wouldn't be surprised to see a market very, very soon, because now he can afford it. And don't tell me he's going back. If you're going back while you're making it over here, I have no idea. Maybe he wanted to finish these buildings before walking back. Now you opened up the walls over here, so you kind of have to get all those villagers back in. I'm not sure what these villagers are up to, but it seems like Noisick has forgotten about those villas over there. Now goes for a shorefish. Here's the market, and indeed this is going to turn into a fast castle here from Noisick. Idling his TC quite a lot. Skirmisher is out, but it's only one skirmisher, and now Noisick, don't tell me he's fighting the villagers. That would be an absolutely foolish move. Just go for skirmishers, and you can actually hold this. Your opponent's scout is very weak, so skirmisher defense here is absolutely something that works out well for Noisick, who is going for a defense upgrade as well. Here is the massive market usage from him, as there is 2 skirms over here against 4 archers. Should be winnable, especially if the villagers help out a little bit. Plus you also have the hill. Nice micro over there from Vodka though. The thing is that Noisick is kind of playing with fire over here though, because there's a lot of villagers that could lose their lives if something goes wrong. And indeed, now the archers dive in, and those are Ethiopian archers, so they fire faster. There is the first villager going down from Noisick. Maybe he went too greedy with this Drush FC, or maybe he just should have gone back now that he has seen the archers coming his way, because he's really getting no benefit from these villagers anymore. Like, he's trying to get the shorefish, but that's no longer really possible, as he's trying to squeeze out the castle age for himself. But remember, the Ethiopians get a bunch of extra resources upon reaching the next stage, so Vodka's castle age timing isn't going to be that bad either. Anyways, we are gonna have a stable coming in, and if Vodka goes into castle age, I would think that he's going to start adding knights. Castle age time is still going to be better for Noisick, and I wonder if we're going to see a stable for some early knights as well for himself, or he's just going to transition to crossbows, which seems more likely over here. So I like the idea of Noisick's fast Drush FC with the Saracen market. However, for this then, I feel like he should have just pulled back his villagers once he saw the archers arriving, because he took an unnecessary risk trying to protect those villagers. Now, Vodka is actually in the need to make a couple of scouts over here to clean up the skirmishers, otherwise he's going to lose his archers here, which means that he's going to delay his castle age timing quite considerably, and it's only 110 remaining for Noisick to reach castle. But now, Noisick, the problem that you're having is that Noisick only has 3 archers. 3 archers. So you will upgrade them to crossbows. The thing is that 10 archers and 2 scouts in Feudal Age will still be better than 3 crossbowmen. And that's the main problem, and those could also get intercepted. So maybe Noisick's build here was a little too tight, because it seems like he isn't really able to afford an army. Or he tried moving out, but I feel like he could have just gathered those units inside the ranges and at least wait until he is castle age. Because now he's exposing them to scouts and archers, and he's going to lose his entire army just before upgrading them to crossbows. He could have waited until he reaches castle age. He would have like 6-7 archers, and when these are crossbows, you can unpop them and take that fight. Now, Vodka will also think about going up to the next stage here, but once again, it is 5 units against an 8 over here, as look at this. Noisick is just trying to run away from here as Vodka is chasing and chasing and chasing. Now, there's a couple of skirms coming in here, and those are crossbows now. Immediately, Noisick turns back, and the tides may have turned now. Now, truth being told, the eco of Noisick is absolutely bad over here, but this build is not really about the eco. This is about sort of a Castle Age all-in type of a push here. Castle Age is on the way for Vodka as well, so if he somehow saves that army, that's going to be a couple of valuable crossbowmen. Remember, the rate of fire bonus will help immensely. He also moved out to the other pond, realizing that his opponent isn't really pushing those ponds. And the thing is that if you only have 2 skirms like this chasing here, you can take down those skirms and run to this corner or so and save that army. Saving this army would be a huge thing for Vodka, because that would mean that he's gonna have 8 extra crossbows in Castle Age. This is 6 units out of 11 army over here right now for him. And also, crossbows now coming in here. And I think Vodka is doing what he kind of has to. Just mass the archers on the ranges and wait until cast stage kicks in. Nice defensive tower is going to keep the crossbows away from the gold. And in the meanwhile, these archers also find their way back home. And at the end of the day, I think it's going to be even crossbow numbers in Castle Age. Voyager numbers will be much, much better for Vodka. So he's probably going to have 8-10 Voyagers lead. If you compare the idle times, it's 3 minutes idle time, which is an unbelievable amount of, 180 seconds? That's like 7 Voyagers time. So the idle time difference on TCs, by the way, Vodka also had a lot of TC idle time, but Noisick 420 idle time on TC means that he is behind by 7 Voyagers just because of that. Skirmisher pops out, or what, not Skirmisher, but Scout, trying to finish off the skirm. And Vodka's eco is going to be much, much better, and it's not like Noisick's push is going anywhere. So this is going to be 15 crossbows against 14 crossbows. These are Ethiopian faster firing crossbows. Defense upgrade is going to be missing for Vodka, but as I said, the rate of fire is going to compensate him for it very, very nicely. Plus the fact that he actually has an operational economy, whereas his opponent does not really have that working for him. Fast ballistics coming in here for both players. Slightly better timing for Noisick over there, but I feel like his cast stage advantage is pretty much gone, even though somehow these crossbows march into this base. I don't know how they actually got inside. Could there be a hole somewhere? I think there might be a hole in between these two houses. That's the only place I can imagine it. Still, the crossbows will just go back home and clean this one up. And it is a 10 Voyagers lead in the favor of Vodka right now with a safe gold mine, as Noisick is moving out for a hunt over here. But this is, as I said, kind of a Castle Age all-in play here. Nice army control from Noisick, so he's dragging the army to the right side with these crossbows and now moving into the left to try and pick off a couple of Voyagers. But still, Noisick is yet to find his first Voyager kill. Indeed, there was the gap in between those houses. It's hard to spot because of the hills. Still, Vodka should have no trouble cleaning this one up, and now with 13 crossbows against 17. And eco upgrades are pretty similar. That's actually a nice spot to attack for Noisick, but still hasn't killed a single Voyager in this game. Oh, actually he did. He killed 3 Villagers. Where did that happen? Did he kill this on his wood line? That's actually nice then. So now he killed 3, but he's still behind by 7. And now he's down to 13 army against 19. And that's just going to be an ever-increasing army of Ethiopian crossbows with an eco that can actually sustain it. Whereas the problem that Noisick is facing is that he isn't able to sustain this production in the long run. Like, sure, he's just buying resources in the Saracen market all the time, but that's going to become more and more inefficient. And there's a siege workshop on the way for Vodka, so he's going to start mixing in some mangonels himself. Fighting up hills isn't really ideal for him. In fact, this is an awful fight for Vodka, yet he still takes it and should be able to win this one still. So you can see that his lead is big enough that he's able to take some very inefficient fights, but it's 9 crossbows against 16 now. And a map that used to be traditionally a scouts map, now we're seeing an absolute archer mirror, and it seems like Vodka is taking over. And that would also mean that Vodka wins 2 in a row, and he will be at match point to get into the next round. Another range is coming in here for Noisick, but once again, I don't know how long this is sustainable for him. This is definitely Castle Age all-in, as those crossbows will find the Villagers, pick off one, pick off the crossbows over here. Noisick's sort of a late reaction, and I think that's the game over here. There is a couple of crossbows coming now, but this is just an absolute slaughter. Villagers will be going down really fast, and indeed Noisick taps out. Vodka, quick strike over here in a game that was 27 minutes, 27 seconds long, exactly. Strikes back, and now has 2 in a row to put this one into match point. So with that, we will have Saracens gone for Noisick and Ethiopians gone for Vodka, and we'll go for Noisick's other home map, which is going to be Gold Rush, potentially for an Aztec pick, I would say, because Portuguese Italians are probably left for islands. Other side, probably Japanese are left for islands, so it's either an Inca pick or a Teutons pick. I think Inca picks were pretty rare in the tournament so far. I I'm tempted to say it could be Teutons, and that would be a good idea. Teuton Knights will just wreck the Eagles, and Teutons are actually hard to convert. And if you take a look at the draft, the Aztec pick was quite early from Vodka. So Noisick knows that, hey, that's an early Aztec pick, most likely for Gold Rush. I will go for Teutons, which is a sort of a counter pick to Aztecs, and indeed I was right. It is an Aztecs versus Teutons matchup over here, as we'll jump into Gold Rush over here. So we're gonna have Aztecs for Vodka in yellow on the left, and to the northern part of the map it's going to be Noisick in red as Teutons. Once again, the two players are actually pretty close to each other, and there's like a massive emptiness here on the right side of the map. So, beautiful back gold mine over here for Vodka with Aztecs. The berries are borderline workable. Stones are absolutely horrendous. Both of those are very, very open. And there isn't really a lot of wood lines that are great for Vodka. So, it's easy to wall off, but it's not really a big base, and it could all be exposed to ranged aggression. And it is not impossible that we're going to see a tower rush from Noisick, something that we haven't talked about. He's 4 on wood, so this is definitely not a scout's play from him. His base actually has both of his gold mines being wide open, although technically this is defendable if you wall like this and wall like this. Stone at the back is definitely helpful, and he's got a lot of wood at the back. So it looks like Vodka already found his opponent over here, whereas for Noisick, he is looking for his opponent but can't find him. Look at that. He's looking for him everywhere, but not the place where he's at. He will eventually find it, but in the meanwhile, we will have what appears to be a Man-at-Arms opening from Vodka, as we slow down the game now that we're getting to Feudal Age. So it's a Man-at-Arms opening, as opposed to what seems like a Teuton rush here from Noisick, something that we don't often see, to be honest. Also worth noting that Noisick is actually highlighting where the wolves or lions are. He can't see through the fog of war anymore, so he can't actually see this. This is actually highlighted by Vodka, but he's highlighting different patches of lions, so he knows which places to avoid with his militias, basically. Anyways, it's a Man-at-Arms opening over here, although this is actually... These militias are doing enough damage to potentially make Vodka think about fighting this. Here is a Feudal Age, and now you're going to still wait a little bit and try to get the Man-at-Arms upgrade for yourself. It's actually 4 Man-at-Arms opening with Aztecs. That's a little bit premature as an engagement, and honestly, I think that after this fight, Vodka will most likely cancel the Man-at-Arms upgrade because there's going to be nothing left to upgrade, or there is going to be left something to upgrade. He lost the militia, but he has 3 militia still alive, and 2 of them are actually pretty decent in HP. Forces Noisick to quick wall, but here's the deal. Noisick is gonna have to take this gold mine, because as I said, this would be a safe gold mine if you walled like this and this. But that's not going to be possible, as the walls are being rushed up. Passat wall foundations have been nerfed, but it seems like the walls will be up just in time. Man-at-Arms trying to get through over here, and we are gonna have House of Wolves behind this one. So for now, Noisick is fine, and it seems like Noisick actually is playing Drush into skirms here. That's not something I actually expected over here, and is going to lose the scout fight over here. I actually praised Noisick's gameplay in a previous game with the Saracen kind of fast Drush FC. I'm not sure what he's planning over here. It's going to be archers. Drush into archers with Teutons. That's something that's pretty unprecedented. But it actually makes some sense if you think about that. Do you know why? Because an archer play, like a heavy archer and skirmisher play, would force eagles from Vodka. I think he's trying to force eagles from Vodka so that he can go for his own knights. That's the game plan most likely. So if he goes heavy on archers and skirmishers, Vodka will have no other option to mix in other than mixing in eagles. And that means that when cast stage comes, the knights of our Teutonic player will start shredding those eagles. That's probably the game plan here for Noisick. Anyways, the two ecos are relatively close to each other in terms of quality. The Teutons have the cheaper farms, helps a lot. So does the Aztec general eco bonus that they are having. I also like that Vodka went out to take those huntables over there. Noisick, I think, pushed them in Dark Age. As now the walls will almost be completed, even though now there is an opening on the gold mine and Man-at-Arms are just arriving. This could be dangerous. Nice quick wall, quick gate. No quick gate, it's slow gate. And you have to ask the question on like that. Those might have been a little too late walls, and things are falling apart now for Noisick. Things are falling apart because it doesn't matter what your game plan is if you start losing massive amounts of Vultures to the Man-at-Arms over here. Truth being told, however, there is a 2 Vultures difference between the two players coming from the fact that Vodka had a lot more TC idle time. So, still, Vodka is having a 2 Vultures lead in this one, which is definitely far from ideal. And more importantly, the Man-at-Arms, I think it's just the Man-at-Arms and the Ego, but they're still inside the eco of Noisick over here and could potentially kill another Vulture or so. Let's see if that's gonna happen. Tries to block that Vulture with the Man-at-Arms. One more Vulture goes down, so it's already 4 Vultures killed. Vodka killed 4 Vultures already, and the next wave of Archers is coming in here pretty soon. He could potentially push this wood line while he is distracting the Archers and Skirmishers this way. In the meanwhile, there is Archers and Skirms assembling from Noisick over here on the right side, as his tournament life is on the line. And remember that this gold mine is dangerously open for him, and one of the reasons why he isn't able to access this one is because he didn't actually start walling this one and this one in time. If he was walled like this, that gold mine would be secure and he wouldn't need to fight for this one. And now, it is 34 eco against 32 in this one. Still, as I said, the eco could be way better for Vodka if he didn't have all that TC idle time. So one of the reasons why he's not leading by more is because his TC was idle for quite a while. Behind this one, we're gonna have Ego Scouts from Vodka, slowly increasing those numbers as well. As I said, that's probably the game plan for Noisick over here. However, Noisick also has to be careful, because his gold mine is so exposed that if he gets caught off guard in the middle of the field by Eagles and Archers and Skirms, he could lose this army, and suddenly those Eagles, Archers, could start pushing that gold mine. So if he's able to get up to Castle Age and start getting the Knights out, this could actually work out well for him. However, I have some doubts about him being able to reach Castle Age under this significant pressure. The Eagles taking a good fight against the Skirmishers over here. Skirms trying to just finish off these Archers over here, but the fight once again is just better for the Aztec player over here. One of the reasons why Meso Civs are so good in these Archer wars is because they can mix in Eagles very easily. And now those Archers can just start pushing this gold mine. They will force the defensive tower from Noisick, and now it seems like Vodka is going to disengage. But, as I said, the gold income is heavily delayed here for Noisick, which in the end results in the fact that he's very low on gold. His opponent is actually having pretty decent gold income, and is planning on going into Castle Age here. We might even see Stone being sold for a triple Brax Eagle play at this point, trying to beat Noisick into Castle Age and just overrunning him with Eagles before Noisick can actually bring in the Knights. He could sell his Stone to do that, and we'll see if that is going to happen. That's the second building, actually it's third building from Feudal Age. So considering that he is actually getting the market, he is definitely going to buy food from the gold he has. The question is if he's actually going to sell his stone, because he wouldn't need that market if he didn't want to balance out his eco. Let's see. It's going to be without stone, so it's just a standard Castle Age time over here. Now Noisick is actually going to pick up pretty much at the identical time, but he's gonna have to make a transition to cavalry over here, because obviously once Castle Age hits, Teuton Archers are absolutely disastrous when it comes to, you know, doing anything against the Aztec Eagle play. And as much as there isn't really a lot of Eagles on the field right now in Feudal Age, because they train slowly in Feudal, as it seems like Noisick has been missing 2 of his goats, which sort of explains why we have seen some pretty early deer pushes from him. I guess he just wanted to compensate for that. So the thing is that as much as you don't see a lot of Eagles on the field right now in Feudal, you will in Castle Age. There is the scale botting. So that was the plan, as I said, for Noisick. Play a rush into Archers with a heavy skirmisher approach. And what that means is that if you play very heavy on skirmishers, Vodka either makes his own skirms or he's transitioning into Eagles. So by playing rush into Archers and skirms, especially with a heavy focus on skirms, you trigger a transition from the Aztec player into Eagles, and now you're going to be using your Teuton Knights to clean those up, and Teuton Knights are harder to convert, which means that the Aztec monks aren't really going to have an easy time. I think that's the entire concept of picking Teutons here, and that's actually a very genius idea. Once again, Noisick came in prepared with strategies. for every game, he seemed like he has something special in store. So, like the melee pick is something I also liked on Hideout, but especially the Slopes Saracen game, this Teuton play over here is actually a good idea. The question is if it's actually gonna work out though. So it's one thing that it's a good idea and it works on paper. We'll see if it actually works in practice as well, because Aztec monks are still Aztec monks. And the other thing that you are facing over here is that Eagle Warriors train really fast over here for Vodka. And by the time you get your knights on the field, you could be in trouble. These knights are having +1/+1 in a moment. But indeed, this was the plan, and you're even going to see a monastery from Noisick just for the sake of, you know, converting back potentially converted knights. Anyways, it looks like Vodka is going to take the ridge over here, as here come the monks. Knights will move out right now. It is 3 knights against 12 eagles, though the eagles do have +1/+1, so are the knights. But it's 12 eagles against 3 knights, and that many eagles just eat the knights over there. These knights will actually have 1 extra melee armor as well, because they are Teuton knights. So if you wait a little bit over here with your knights, you might be able to take this fight, but I feel like they just can't wait longer. They just can't wait longer because the eagles are getting through the walls here. Final second repairs over here denied by the archers, as the knights are trying to snipe the archers to prevent the walls from going down and the villagers being able to reroll. House getting deleted and knight comes out, and you see why this was the game plan for Noisick. That is an absolute slaughter. Those knights weren't even damaged. Well, 2 of them are still weak, but this was an absolute stomp over there, and the game plan itself actually looked really, really good for Noisick. So indeed, now this will trigger a pikeman switch. That's basically what Vodka has to do over here in this scenario. There will be a couple of monks as well, but the monks do not have any upgrades on them, and these are Teuton knights, so I would somewhat doubt if he can actually get a very, very good and successful conversion in here. You see that that monk was converting for like 5, 6, 7 seconds and didn't actually accomplish much. So second TC is up for Vodka in the middle as he's transitioning into pikeman. That's a +1/+1. And in terms of economy, he also has a 2 villagers lead overall, and also has horse color for his farms, which is very, very helpful. No wheelbarrow or boso for either player. So at this point, we also have to consider that Vodka is controlling the middle. And what that means is that Noisick is sort of on a timer. It's not really a strict timer because he still has a lot of gold back at home, but he's gonna have to be able to get some gold for himself in the foreseeable future. It is currently 13 knights on the field, healed by 2 monks, as opposed to what is gonna be 8 pikemen only. The rule of thumb says that as long as the knight numbers are even or greater than the pikeman numbers, you can take that fight, which means that Vodka shouldn't really be taking this fight, especially against Teuton cavalry that does have extra melee armor and does have +1/+2, when your infantry only has +1/+1, I believe. There is Sanctity, and that means that you are gonna have 50 HP on those monks. There's also a couple of monks out for Noisick to convert some units back. He could also think about converting a couple of pikemen to, you know, lower the amount of pikemen that he's encountering. There's the siege workshop for Noisick on this region. This game is actually looking pretty decent for Noisick. He's only behind by 1 villager, but the unit composition that he's having is something I like a lot more. However, big clash over here in the middle. There is 1 knight getting converted. Teuton knights can also be converted eventually, and it seems like the Teuton knights just eat their way through the infantry over here though, although there is some more pikemen coming in here to help. But once again, knight numbers are still looking pretty decent. 7 knight numbers, or not knights over here, although now they have pretty much disappeared from the field. Mangonel gets sniped down over here by the knights, and it seems like it's going to be a relatively even fight, but this actually helps Vodka because he's the one that is holding Ridge over here primarily, and he's the one that is, you know, willing to deny his opponent from gold here. Not sure what happened to the rest of the knights, because for a moment it felt like there was way more, but it seems like now the pikemen are just carving their way through their lines, and it's a 9 pikemen versus 5 knights. We're entering the threshold where the knights will no longer be able to take the fight against the pikemen. And the tricky thing that Noisick is facing right now is that he could actually try making a mangonel or scorpion against the pikemen. However, it isn't really working out when your opponent has access to, or easy access to, eagles, like Aztecs do. Another stable comes in here for Noisick, so he's still really trying to play this one with knights, as the siege crop is slowly being taken down as well. +2 defense on the way for Vodka, who is now playing apparently full pikeman triple barracks for him, sending vultures to stone. So I think the next step that he's seeing is that the full pikeman play isn't really going to be sustainable in the long run, even though Teutons can't really do that much against that in Castle Age. Mangonel pops out, takes a direct hit on the monks, but that wasn't enough. And now many of those knights are getting caught off guard by the pikemen, as the Mangonel is going to be sniped by the knight, and the army of Noisick is getting overrun by pikemen. The Aztec military training bonus is coming in clutch over here, as now Noisick is trying to tech into swordsmen, but now this game seems like it's actually going to start slipping out of his hands, especially when Vodka is going to start working towards a castle, and if that castle goes up, that's going to go up over here, because that would deny all accessible gold from Noisick. Noisick will try a counterattack here, and I'm not going to say it's a reverse sweep if Vodka wins it, but he was down 1 game, and then he's going to potentially win 3 in a row to make a comeback. He also spots the cavalry coming his way, immediately dispatches a couple of spearmen to defend over there, so he's gonna be fine, but he also knows that now he can just move out with his pikemen and siege. And instead of monk and siege, you play pike and siege over here, as Noisick is still trying to tech into longswords and supplies, but that takes so much time for him. There is no hole on the walls of Vodka either, and we're talking about 7 knights only versus what is 24 pikemen, and the problem is that longsword numbers are right now just 1. Just 1 longsword, and in early stages where there isn't really a lot of longswordsmen, converting them is just as much a possibility as in the case of knights. Now look at this. Noisick is actually trying to drag those pikemen into the lions, although the lions will also be triggered by the knights over here, so that doesn't really change a lot. And well, yeah, eventually just the knight is gonna be the one that is getting attacked by wolves. And now there's the monastery. Longswords are being assembled here. However, if it's longswords, now Vodka has an eco to allow him to tech into archers. He doesn't actually, he does have a range, so it wouldn't really take a lot of time for him to get a couple of crossbows out on the field to deal with longswords. And I'm not sure if he's expecting that or not, but he does see the second barracks, which means that he knows that it is coming, and we have some massive selling over here from Noisick. Whereas for Vodka, I think he's thinking about Imperial, he's thinking about the castle over here somewhere. Even if he drops the castle somewhere on this hill, that's going to be enough to deny these goldmen. So castle over here would be great as well. And there is the range as well. Upon seeing the longswords, he's gonna say, okay, there is quite a lot of longswords up against me. I can try delaying this one with some siege. Some TC fire and some monks, as you see over here. Free conversions is free conversions, but eventually I will need archers. So Noisick actually calls the GG here because he probably realizes that he's up against way too many pikemen, and wishing good luck to his teammate. Vodka eliminates Noisick over here. One of the best Italian players, removing one of the best Chilean players from the tournament. Noisick has had his moments, and what I would like to give a shout out for is Noisick's preparation. Many players just come into tournaments and try to play standard, just like rated games. Noisick actually tried a lot of, I'm not going to say unique things, but a lot of smart things, especially on slopes and this map. Both of his strategies actually made a lot of sense, and I always love to watch these players that they are willing to experiment with strategies, mind games, whatsoever, to get an upper hand over the opponent. He was the victorious player in the first game, but then a streak of 3 wins in a row for Vodka secures the victory for Vodka, who is going to play in the round of 32.